Hello there. Oh, that camera looks a little cockeyed. Let's see if we can fix that. There we go. You're not going to be looking at me sideways the whole time. You don't have to cock your head to see what's going on. Alrighty, so I am Carol Crafty Grandma, and today we are going to make another bag. And this bag I have made twice, and I posted that in the description if you saw it. But so these are the two bags that I have made from a pattern called 10 Pocket Travel Tote. It's a free pattern right here that I got off of Pinterest, and it does not include labels, so I made little letter labels. We'll talk about those later on. This first one I made and didn't use right away, and it looked fine. I posted pictures of it. Everything was great. When I actually used it, I found a problem. This one I did a video for, so there's a playlist of the 10 Pocket Travel Tote. You'll see me making the same bag I'm going to make in this series, but it was this one right here. This time I used canvas fabric instead of cotton all the way through. So this one is cotton all around. This one is canvas and cotton fabric. So little bit different. On this one I put an exterior pocket on both sides, and on this one I only put the exterior pocket on one side. The other side is plain. On this quilted one, I am going to put no exterior pockets. I am going to do the option where I put this pocket on the inside of the bag. So on the inside of the bag, there's going to be some of the exterior fabric, so it gives a little contrast inside the bag. And these are all options that are given along the way. This one has a zipper in it. This one does not have the zipper in it because I ran into a problem. And I ended up having the same problem with this bag. So with the quilted version, I am going to fix that problem. So you can see here the handle is hanging off. So I love the way this bag comes together at the top. It allows for not having to do the pull inside out portion of the bag, which most bags do, and I always hate that. And on a bag this size, I can see how that could be a challenge. So I really like the way she designed this with the handles, but this one, it happened right after I got done sewing it on. So if you watched the playlist for the 10 Pocket Travel Tote, you're going to see me get very frustrated when the handles come out. And I think I've figured out a way to solve that problem. In fact, I know I've figured out a way how to solve that problem. We're just going to use rivets and some sewing. The only other thing I do want to say about this is the Winslet Wallet. There's also a playlist for that, and I made wallets to match both of these because even though these totes have a lot of pockets to use, there wasn't really any spot for small stuff like your cards, credit cards, visitor cards, whatever you call them. I know a lot of them have gone to being online, so you just carry your phone and it's no big deal. But there are still places that you have to have a rewards card or a customer card, and they have not yet gotten to the point where they're able to scan things in. So therefore, I really wanted something else to go with it. So I did make wallets for both of these totes. I also I'm probably going to tear out the seam a little bit, put these straps in, and then finish them like I'm going to finish the quilted travel tote that we're making today. Alright, so now you know where we're going. This is what we have. And you see the kitty cat. I didn't pay attention. I don't know when she hopped up there, so somehow she snuck up while I wasn't paying attention. So we are going to make another one of these, but what we're going to do different is we're going to make it quilted. So I have acquired quite a few different jelly rolls. And I'm not a big jelly roll person. They're always the same size. So, you know, once you make something, a pattern, there's no way to make bigger squares. This one is a Christmas one, so I'm not going to use that. This one is kind of spring looking. I do like it, and I'm thinking I may use this for a jacket. I ordered a pattern for a quilted jacket, and I think I'm going to use this for the quilted jacket. Now you say, but it's spring, and why would you use something in spring colors for a quilted jacket? Well, I happen to live in the Central Florida area, so usually it's nice and warm even in the middle of winter, which is about the only time I would wear a jacket in Central Florida. These two happen to be from the same company. They are not the same fabrics, but they have very similar fabrics in them. So I'm leaning towards using something from both of these to make up our fabric. So these are going to get set off to the side. And these are the ones I'm leaning towards using. I've got my pattern. So then I have polypropylene webbing. And this is what I've used on the other two. I just used the white and the dark purple on those two. So now I need to decide what color webbing I want to use for this. I'm not going to decide until after I look at more of the colors here to decide on that. So we're going to set this off to the side because we still have to decide on that. I then have a large bag of zippers. This is zipper tape, and again, I purchased this to make these bags. It comes with zipper pulls in matching colors, and one of these zippers will not make both zippers on the bag. There's an interior zipper for the zipper pocket, and then there's an optional zipper for the top of the bag. I tend to like bags to be zippered. Maybe again it's because of where I live, and we do have a lot of tourists in the area, so therefore it tends to be nicer to not have an open bag around that someone can just sort of slide their hand into. There's a whole bunch of different colors left in here that I haven't used yet, so I haven't decided exactly which color zippers I'm going to use, but I have lots of options. Again, that goes back to also the exterior color and the webbing color. Here is the white fabric that I plan to use as the internal fabric, the lining fabric. Looked around. I like having solid fabric as my lining. I've seen a lot of things where people put in patterned fabric as their lining, and it looks really cool. I guess it's just I don't have the sense, color sense, to pick something that's not going to be a pain. I might switch this out. I have not. This was a quick thing this morning because I was like, oh, I forgot to pick a lining. And I had a lot of this fabric left. So, I mean, it's solid white. It's nothing special. So that may be the route we take. That's what I'm currently planning on, but we may do other things. Wonder clips, just in case I need them. Pins. I've got snaps in case I decide to put a snap on instead of a zipper. I'm leaning towards the zipper though. I'm really leaning towards the zipper. I'm going to set these back here so they're out of the way. And I'm going to set this over here with this. All right, so we need, for the exterior, I did not put these in order. They're all messed up. Where's A? There's A. All right. So piece A for this bag is 2 pieces of fabric that are 20 inches wide by 16.5 inches high. So 20 inches wide, 16.5 tall. If you use, oh, it doesn't have an option there. All right. So there are differences. If you're using directional or non-directional fabric, there's options throughout here that make changes to it. For the exterior fabric, they just say you need 2 pieces that are 16.5 tall by 20 inches wide. I have a kitty cat loving stuff down on the floor now. Okay, water. So the first thing we need to do is we need to make fabric. That means that we need to make 2 pieces of fabric that are 20 inches wide by 16.5 inches tall. And to do that, I am going to put the fabric at an angle. And I'm thinking about doing a V shape. And again, this is why I'm not putting any pocket on the exterior. I want the fabric to be the star of this particular show. And let's get the rubber band off. And the rubber band goes straight into the garbage can so as not to get in the way of the kitty cats. All right, let's see here. So I have 1 jelly roll. There's that. I'm not going to need scissors for a little while. And the second jelly roll. And I definitely don't need 2 jelly rolls to do this. In fact, 1 jelly roll is going to be 10 times more fabric than I need. But I couldn't decide between these 2. And let's see here. There we go. Couldn't decide between these 2 which one I liked better. All right, let's put that there. And you can see they are pretty much the same fabrics. So like here I've got purple with some dots on it. And then I've got something similar in the blue. Oh, there it is. I've got a darker, same patterns. So they cut these jelly rolls from similar fabrics, just in different hues. And I really like the black. I'm leaning towards making a darker bag this time. And so using the black is kind of interesting to me. But you'll notice that most of these are pretty big patterns. And I kind of don't want really, really big patterns. There's a polka dot and another polka dot. So I'm not certain exactly what fabrics are going to get used and what aren't in this activity. All right, so let me see if I can do this. I'm going to do this and this and there. Can I, maybe this. Ooh, there we go. How's that one? There we go. So we've got our fabrics here, and then we've got me. Okay. So I'm going to take these dark fabrics first. And they are going to end up at an angle. Whoa. And those two are the same, so let's see how it's going to look this way. Because I'm thinking I want to do a V in the middle. So this will be the center of the bag, and the fabrics will go on either side. So now you see where I'm headed. To get there, I need to do just regular fabric. So I just need to sew strips together. And before we can do that, we need to decide, or before we can sew them together, we need to decide how we want them to look. And which ones are going to go next to each other, so on and so forth. So like I said, I'm not crazy about having a lot of big patterns next to each other. So I want to do a little more of, here, hold on a minute. That picture's bothering me. Ah, are you still there? You are. Okay. Let's see. Let's change this. No, let's cancel that. Let's put you here. Do that there. Do that there. There. I think I like that one better. Nope, I'm still not getting a very good... Can I move myself over? Nope, I sure can't. All right. Never mind. Because you can't see the wall, it's not going to do us any good. So, all right. So I've got this black up there with green. And it's got some big leaves on it. It's kind of cool. This one's kind of animal print. This is why I wanted the close-up screen, because I figured you could see it better. I'm not real crazy about animal print in general, so probably not going to go with that one. This one's got a lot of really big red flowers on it. And this is like maybe a pomegranate, fruit of some kind. So not my favorite. There was another dark one in here somewhere. And no. All right, so now I need a contrasting color. This has like a burgundy and a nice yellow and some different greens. So let me see if I can find something in here that I can get to go next to it that's not going to look so god-awful that it'll make me nuts. Oh, they're cut different lengths. Figures. All right, now I need something a little bit different. So maybe there's blue in that. Let's go with this for the blue. This is going to be a really dark bag. All the fabrics are really dark. Oh, and you're wondering how many I'm going to make. I can make as many as I want. And then that gives me extra space to cut later on. They are typically 42 inches wide. So I will therefore be able to get straight across if I want to just do the bags vertical. But remember, I want to do them at an angle. And that does not mean that the front and the back are going to be the same. Because with me doing this and making the angle, it's kind of like I'm using more fabric than I'm going to need. Just FYI. So I need to have enough fabric so that I can go from here at a 45-degree angle and get 10 inches across. So that when I move these to an angle, they're 10 inches across. And you're going, that doesn't make any sense. It will, I promise. We just have to get through this picking out the color thing, because that's probably going to take the longest. That's cool. All right, come on. All right, here we go. We're getting there. Where'd my tape measure go? There it is. All right, so 10 inches. Well, that's messed up. And we're already past that point. So I am going to go to 20 inches now. Now, the other thing you have to remember is you are going to be putting in a quarter-inch seams. So you're going to lose a ½ inch on each strip. So I'm going to try and get this to about 25-ish. And again, I'm only doing it bigger because I want to have options. If you want to just use exactly what you have available, that's going to be a different thing. All right, I need something florally. Actually, that's kind of cool. There we go. Something basic again. I already used that one. I like it, but I already used it. Let's see. Now I want to pull this one in because I want to use some of the dark purple. Get some more purple in here. There we go. All right. So we're getting there. We're getting there. Where are we at distance-wise? This is one of the few times I have ever used the 45 mark on my design wall. All right, I need one more to get me where I want to be. And the next one needs to be floral. Oh, I like that. Anyway, actually, that's kind of cool. There we go. Now, it's really different. It's not something I would typically ever do. And FYI, all of these pieces have a duplicate in here, so if I want to make absolutely certain that we have the ability to make the front and the back look exactly the same, I can do that. But what we are going to do now is sew these pieces together. And that's going to involve standard quilting of 1/4 inch seam, sew them together. So we need to set up our sewing machine. So let's go over there. All right, this machine is still set up from the Winslet Wallet that I made, and I need to get it set so that it can do basic quilting. So the first thing I need to do is get my walking foot off. We don't need the walking foot. put the standard foot on, or standard ankle on, I should say. And I have already attached my 1/4 inch foot. So that'll be good. All right, I need to get rid of this needle. It is a universal 90 because I was going through a lot of layers of fabric. And I don't want to use that for now. I am going to switch to a universal 80. Normally, when I'm quilting, I should say when I'm piecing, because what I'm going to do next is not quilting. What I'm going to do next is piecing a top. I use a universal 70. I am just going to go with a standard universal 80 because I really don't care if I get exactly a 1/4 inch or not. It's not going to affect this particular activity. Normally it's very, very important that you get exactly a 1/4 inch seam. What I'm doing is just making fabric. I am not making a quilt. And therefore I'm fine with it not necessarily being exactly a 1/4 inch. If I'm off a little bit, I will live. Now, what I am going to do is drop my stitch length down just a half a step. Usually I drop it down to 1.5. I'm just dropping it down to 2.0 at this point. The other thing I'm not messing with is this is polyester thread. Normally when I'm quilting, I use all cotton materials. So again, this is not technically a quilt. It is using quilting techniques, but it is not an actual quilt. All right, let's start pulling down strips so we can sew them together. And these are all going to be trimmed at some point in time, so it does not matter if they start and stop at the same point or not. It does matter if you get your right sides together. So make sure your right sides are together. Needle down. My machine defaults to needle up, and there is no way to set it so that it defaults to needle down when you turn it on. So every time I turn my machine on, I have to reset that. Okay, that's the first set. Woo! Now, this was our top piece. And this piece actually has salvage on it. So I want to try and get that off, just so that we don't accidentally use it later on. Let's get you started. All right. Get everybody lined up. next piece down. And just like before, right sides together. And we just keep going. Oh! Next one. We're almost done. All right, last strip. Alrighty. There we go. So in standard quilt making style, I am now going to press the seams to one side. So if you're making a garment, typically you're going to take these seams and you're going to press them open. That way, that's just standard process for making a garment, is to press them open this way. In quilt making, we press to one side, so both seams go to the same side. The reason for this is that it allows for it makes it so that the batting can't pop through your seam. If you press it open, there's a chance that at some point in time, as the quilt ages, it may pop open. And my iron is not warm right now because my iron is one of those that when you put it upright, if you leave it there for too long, it turns off and warms or cools down. Has a safety feature, which is a good safety feature, but annoying when I forget about it, which is always. And so right now I am pressing the seam as it was stitched. So right sides together as it was stitched. This is going to warm up the fabric and the thread that we used to sew and get everybody loose a little bit, and makes life a little bit easier when we go to press it to one side. All right, everybody's warmed up a little bit. And now we're going to take our fabric and press it up. Now I always start a little further in. I don't start right on the edge. That way it you're not like forcing the edges to stretch or anything like that. You want to press it straight out and get it as tight as you can, and then press. You want to make sure that the fabric stays taut and the seam you're pressing stays going the direction you want it to go in, because sometimes it'll flip. Now, because these are jelly rolls, you can see the fold that was here. That's going to get pressed out here. Oops. Seem to have lost the little ball that goes on my neck. Sorry. There we go. I don't know if that causes issues, if you can hear me, if I sound weird or what, but there we go. All right. First strip. And we're going to repeat the next seam. So here, can you see it? You can't quite see it. This is the seam that I just pressed. And you'll notice it's not all going in the same direction. It got messed up a little bit. So I'm going to fix that before I go on to the next seam. Otherwise I'll forget about it. And I'll go, why is there so much bulk at this point? And it'll be because I forgot to press. And it's still fussing a little bit, but not too bad. All right, so now we're going to go back to, something fell. Knocked something off of my table. Wrong way, this way. So I press that. So now I'm going to start in the middle, press towards that fabric. There we go. All right. That's 2. One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. All right, so we'll go from the other side after we get this one done. Now I got wrinkles in here, so I'm going to smooth these out a bit. Okay, now we're going to start on this side. It's just a little easier to flip less fabric at a time than it is to try and flip the entire thing. And of course, it would have been perfectly acceptable if you had chosen to press these each as you went along and not wait until the end. That was a fine idea. I just really didn't want to switch back and forth between cameras a million times. That can get annoying for you when you're watching. So it made more sense for me to do it this way and do all the sewing at once and all of the pressing at once. Okay. 2 more seams and we're done. And we get to play some more. No more tedious, boring stuff. Go back to playing. That's the first one. That's not what I want. Okay. Almost messed that one up. There we go. In case you couldn't guess, pressing is not my favorite activity. I find it to be very boring, but a very necessary part, because if you don't press, everything just looks sloppy. Okay, and up. Now this fabric is very, very busy in my opinion, and not something I would typically use. I keep looking at it going, should I have put solid fabrics in between? But no, I'm going to just let it go. work outside my comfort zone. All right. Here we go. So here we have our fabric. And at this point, I think, let me measure to make sure. No, it's only 15 inches. So if you wanted your fabric to go straight across, you would need one more strip of the jelly roll down there. I'm not going to do that. Something else I was thinking about while I was sewing and pressing and so on and so forth that I needed to tell you is you can make a full-fledged quilt. And I mean, technically, that's kind of what I'm doing. Get yourself some graph paper. Set up a rectangle, 20 inches wide, 16.5 inches tall, and design a quilt. Squares, rectangles, stars, you know, whatever your skill set allows you to do, you can do that. Sorry, camera over there made noise like it was dying and it didn't, so we're good. But you can make an actual quilt to go on the side of your bag. If there's a quilt design you found that you like that is 16.5 inches by 20 finished, that's cool. Keep in mind, when you start designing quilts, there's seam allowances to add and things like that. So FYI, if you're new to it, it might be something you want to think about trying, you know, not something the first time person wants to do, but you can design your own quilts. All right, where's my other ruler? There's my other ruler. There's a couple rulers right there. All right. So now we need to put this at a 45-degree angle. So I am going to cut this. Let's move you out of the way. You need to get set up differently. There we go. How's that? There we go. So now I want these to angle in. So all of these lines need to be at a 45-degree angle. So I need to cut 45 degrees and then join them together pointing downward. And I did not do a pattern for this, so I am winging it. So on my ruler, I have a 45 degrees. Goes both ways. So you line the 45-degree portion. Let's get you up a little bit. There we go. So I'm going to line up my 45-degree line on a seam. And I'm going to line up the other side at the tip of the fabric. And apparently that's not going to work. So I'm going to need to line up the 45-degree line at the bottom. All right, there we go. Now, let's hope I didn't mess this up. So there's one. Now I'm going to do the same thing on this side. There's my 45. There you are. That's too far down. So now we can line it up on a seam. There we go. And move it over. I want the top of the ruler at the tip of the fabric, and I want the 45-degree mark on the fabric. So we're going to go sideways so we can have a bigger space. All right, so let's see here. There we go. 45. Oh, that's right, I have to do it on the seam. 45 on the seam. Do I have to go up another seam? There we go. All right, so now we're going to cut 45 here. All right. And I'm going to cut it down the middle. Let's see, how many inches is it? Let's get you out of the way. So 6 1/8 from the edge. Okay. Alrighty. And now we're going to sew it together like this. And we'll have fabric going either way. And from here we're going to decide where the 16.5 and the 20 works. So over in half we go. Back to the sewing machine. And here's going to be fun. You want to make sure you match up your seams so that everything joins together and looks straight. Why are you feeding? That doesn't make any sense. I want to make sure my seams keep going in the direction I press them in. And I can feel this seam is trying to flip the other direction, so you want to make sure it doesn't. Match everybody up. Voila. Ooh. And of course we have to press again. These are staying around because we're going to need them. We may need them. I'm fairly confident we will, but I'm not going to guarantee it. All right, and of course that did do. All right. Okay, let's see how we did. So now you can see this is the pattern I want for the exterior of the bag. And we need 20 inches wide. And that's going to be just about at that point. And 16.5 inches tall. So from that point down, we are only at 13 inches tall. So we're going to need more fabric down here. And look at that, we have more fabric. So we're going to add these extra pieces to the sides and make sure we get all the fabric we need. Back here we go. So we're not sewing on the bias this time. Now we're going to sew our straight pieces, and we're going to go, am I doing that right? No. No. Is it the other piece? All right, I want to go that way. I want to match this up that way. There we go. Have a repeat going across. We just have to make sure we get the right top to bottom and distance. All right, and then this one is going to go this way. There we go. more pressing. So, as I mentioned earlier, I am doing this organically. Just winging it, matching it up as I go along, putting the seams, you know, wherever I want, using whatever fabrics I want. If you are a planner and you must have things completely set up before you start, you're going to need to use a pre-designed pattern. You're going to need to go into either some software and design a quilt or use graph paper. I do both. And design the quilt that way. Come on. There we go. I enjoy seeing how things just sort of come together eventually. Oh, something else. Excuse me. The bottom of the bag is the bottom of this design. So if you wanted to, you can add a different colored, a solid fabric. Wouldn't work with the jelly rolls because it needs to be bigger. But you could always add a different fabric to the bottom, whether it be leather, vinyl, canvas, something else to the bottom. Okay. Are we 16.5 inches wide? That's the biggest question I have. I thought I did it so that it would be, but I cannot guarantee it. Oh gosh, or 20 inches wide. Yes, we are 21 inches wide. So yay, that's wonderful. So from the center, I need to cut 10 inches up, go 10 inches this way and 10 inches that way. All right, let's see here. And I'm going to need to cut lengthwise on my cutting board. Okay. So first we're going to do this side. And we get our little ruler. Where'd you go? There you are. Woo! That's a really tiny ruler. Let's move that out of the way. This one's going to be what I use to cut. And this is the one I'm going to use to measure. So here's my center. Oh, you're not focused. There you go. It's because my arm was in the way. This is the center line that I'm going to use to measure with, and I'm going to put 10 inches. There's my 10-inch mark. And I'm going to slide my second ruler over till I reach 10 inches. I'm going to make sure the 10 inches is straight on the seam. And now we have that extra fabric. I am now going to rotate the fabric. Please tell me it wasn't 21.5, because that would make me angry. No, 20 inches wide. I was right. All right, there's that. 10 inches. I need to move this over a little bit more. 10 inches on the seam. Okay, so now we have it 20 inches wide. It is now the correct width. Now we need to make it 16.5 inches tall. And I do not have a single ruler that will allow me to do that. So I am going to need, I'm going to cut it down. No, I'm not. I'm going to leave the bottom as is. I'll leave the bottom as is. I need to go up 16.5 inches. So we're going to have to use the numbers on our board, which I very rarely do. But I don't have two rulers that I can put together to get this to work right. So we line our long ruler up at the top on 16.5 and down at the bottom on 16.5. So we have the ruler completely straight. Top's gone. And here we go. We now have our bag. So something I want you to notice is the fact that the colors are not in the exact order that I had originally talked about. When I laid them out up there, I knew that I actually thought the black would come more in the middle. But I wanted whatever color you want to be, whatever pattern you want to be, complete. So this pattern takes up the entire bag. It is the longest fabric length in the V. This is the next longest. And then this one is where the repeat starts, out here. So those two fabrics are the same, those two fabrics are the same, and then those two are. So there's a repeat at that point. That's just how I like to do it. Again, I like the organic. I know how things are sort of going to turn out, but not exactly. And I like that. I like being able to go, ooh, that turned out really cool. Or, ooh, that's different. So now the next step, first of all, I'm going to need a second one of these. So I'm going to be repeating all of the steps to get here. But I'm not going to do that right now because I want to finish this piece of fabric first. A couple options you can do here. If you want this to be just not, if you don't want it quilted, you want to use this as the fabric, you can attach this now to interfacing. And that will strengthen it. It'll give it more of a well, strengthen it, yeah, stiffen it, whatever. It's going to give it just more hold. So the bag itself will be stiffer, kind of like my canvas bag is. My canvas bag stands better, depending on which version of interfacing you put in here. I am actually going to quilt it. So that means I'm going to need batting and a backing. The backing is not important. You can actually do this without batting if you choose. And I'm thinking I may, because I have some nice cotton batting that I think I'm going to be able to use, and it does not, it's not fuzzy. So if you get the polyester batting that's really, really high loft and really, really fluffy, there's lots of air in it, and it can be difficult to quilt. I like using this cotton batting, which I don't have that problem with. All right, that's only 14 inches, so that's not going to work. I have cut so many squares out of this, rectangles out of this, I can't tell which pieces go where. You need to stay in the garbage, not pop back out again. All right, I'm going to cut this piece off because it is just bothering me. And it's not big, this piece isn't big enough for this bag, but it will be for a different bag at some point in time. Because I love to take bag patterns and make them out of quilted fabric, so. Okay. So I just put a clip at where 20 inches is. Down at the bottom. Yep, that's 20. And 16 and a half. And now I'm going to cut towards each other. And now we're going to see how well I did. Okay, so there's the batting I just cut. And there's my fabric. It's not bad. I didn't do too bad. Didn't do great, but I didn't do too bad. So now I am going to press these two together. And this is something you cannot do if you are using polyester batting. Polyester batting will melt, and your world will come crashing down on you because you will be like, oh no, I've spent all this time getting this together and now it's all broken, melted, smells terrible, all that good stuff. Oh, here. There we go. So we're making sure it's all nice and pressed out. And the fabric likes to stick to the batting, so it gets all nice and pressed when you do this. If you're doing one really large quilt, you cannot do this little trick. But if you are doing anything small, it works really well. It gets all these, there's kind of like wrinkles here, and they're not really wrinkles, but it makes it so that the fabric really adheres nicely to the batting and gets pressed really nicely. And underneath my board, sorry, underneath here, underneath this fabric is a layer of cotton batting, just like this. They make a special fabric these days. I can't remember what it's called right now. That gives you really sharp creases when you press. I need to remake my ironing board cover, as you've probably noticed. And when I do that, I will be using whatever that stuff is called that I can't think of off the top of my head. That will allow me, that gives me the nice crisp seams. All right, we're almost there. All right, so now let me explain some things. You'll notice here that I don't have any real batting in this bottom corner. This corner is going to get cut off 3 inches in. So, where's my little ruler? I think it's 3 inches. If it's not 3, it's 2. Either way. Oh, there it is down there. So it's going to get cut off in this area. This area is going to be in the seam. So I'm not terribly concerned that I got a little carrot, didn't quite cover that corner. Oh, and that corner of fabric, you're never going to see that color of fabric. It's somewhere else though, so that's fine. So yeah, those are going to get taken away once we do once we make the bag itself. So here, let me look that up real quick. How much do we end up pulling in? I think it's 2, but I can't remember. Oh, it's 3.5. All right, so all right. So later on in the pattern, we are going to fold in our fabric 3.5 inches at an angle, which is 1, 3.5. So just past this purple line, or just into this purple fabric, is we're going to actually put a seam right along there. So all of this fabric down here is going to go away. It's just going to get cut off later on after we join the pieces together and do some other things. So that's why I wasn't terribly concerned about extra batting here and no batting here. Okay, let's quilt this. Let's just get this quilted together. And again, I am not going to be using a batting or backing. The batting that I'm using is light enough, skinny enough, and has enough room that I don't have a problem with it. I am not going to switch to a quilting needle just because I don't want to. But I am going to switch to my walking foot because I'm doing multiple layers of fabric and it just makes life easier. And I kept going round and round in my head. I am going to stay with the white thread. I am going to use the white as a real contrast on this entire bag. So everywhere that I'm going to get top stitching, I'm going to have the white thread. And I think it's going to need it because with all the dark colors on this, if I don't use something as a contrast, I think it's going to get just too dark. All right, so quilting means we go up to 3.5. I am not going to do this little corner because as we talked about, we're going to end up cutting it anyway. I am going to do here just because I don't want to have any problems later on. So I'm going to start here in the corner. And all I'm doing is stitching in the ditch, which means I'm stitching right along the seam line. And I don't always do it wonderfully well, so there are spots where you can see it, which is again why I'm using the white, because it's going to stand out a little bit and give me a little bit of contrast. Last one. Now I'm going to start here and go out to there. That's a wavy line. Okay, so now we're going to do an actual V. I'm not going to the edge of the fabric anymore. I'm starting at one edge, going to the tip of the V, and then going back up to the other edge. All right. So something I believe I will fix on the other side. I did this in my freewheeling kind of a mood. I shouldn't have cut the fabric to the exact size. I should have cut it maybe an inch bigger. So 22 by 18.5. That way I could trim it now to the exact size. That's what I should have done. I did not do that. So I'm kind of improvising. I do need to trim the batting down so that the fabric is the fabric. To go over here on the side because it's too long. Alrighty. So there we go. That's going to be one of the sides of the bag. I don't think I want it to be exactly the same, but I'm not certain. I'm going back and forth again. Going back and forth. Well, first I need to put this on here so I don't forget which piece it is. This is A. So some patterns include these. This did not. And this other thing, it says in the pattern to put interfacing on this. And I'm going round and round in my brain whether I want to do that or not. So I'm going to set this over here, out of the way, so I can think about it and decide if I want to put interfacing on it. If I put interfacing on it, it's going to get stiffer, which isn't a bad thing. The bag will be more sturdy. Now the next thing I'm thinking about is if I use different fabrics on the other side, when they join up, they're not going to match. So they join up here. And this is the 3.5 inches I was talking about on the bottom. If you want to use like a canvas, cut off 3.5 inches and add a canvas fabric to the bottom or a vinyl or something like that. You can do that, and that would, because the sides are going to fold over and the corners are going to go away. So I'm trying to decide when they join here on the edge of the bag, I want them to match up. So I am going to need to do the same color, the same fabrics. I thought I might be able to be silly and do some other stuff, but no. All right, so now I have to find all that same fabric again. But I have it in order here, right? No, not all of it. Not all of it. But, all right, so this one was on the top. Then that way. Purple amoeba kind of things. There it is. And then the blue, that's not it. Yes, no it isn't. Yes it is, no it isn't. Yes it is, no it isn't. No, it might be. That's not it. This has to be it. No, it isn't. See, I should have pulled them out the duplicates when I had the chance. I was trying to be too freewheeling. Those two go together. Ooh, that would have been cool to use. All right. Can't be any of those because they would be all right there. Well, this is close enough. If it's not exactly right, because this has a blue background, that has a green background. Something about it just doesn't, it's not matching up in my brain. I know it's just not quite right. Well, this I'm going to need. That's the next one. That's the one after that. That one. Let's see here. Are you that one? You are. Just a little bit different. Okay, so the only one I'm still missing is that one there. And it's green. The background is more green. Oops, none of those. Those are more purple. Where did it go? Nope, you're orange. You know what? We're going to go with that other one. Even though it's blue and the other one's green, we're going to go with it. I may end up using this jelly roll to make a jacket because there are, well, there were two here to begin with, so there's just a lot of fabric still left. All right, so you're going to go there. Well, Well, that does have blue and green in it. It must be the same one. I'm just seeing it funny. Because that's the same. That's got pink, though. There's the pink. There's the green. There's the blue. There's the green. There's the blue. Yeah. It's got to be the same piece. Was bothering me. All right. So, off camera, at some point, or possibly tomorrow on the next episode, we will get this other side done. I'm thinking it'll be on the live feed tomorrow. We'll get this second side taken care of. We will need, and I just dawned on me, to make a piece of fabric that's going to be the pocket. It's called a utility pocket in the pattern. The utility pocket is 20 inches wide by 8 inches high. So it's not nearly as tall as this, but it's as wide because it goes across the entire pocket. And I'm going to put it inside the tote bag this time. In the past 2 bags I've made, I've put 2 pockets on them. And then I put 1 pocket on another. This time I'm going to take that 1 pocket and I'm going to put it on the inside of the bag. Just because I want this pattern, I want the pattern of the quilt to come out and be the thing you see when you see the bag. So that's going to be that. Still not certain which color webbing I'm going to use. I don't have a blue, so I'm not certain about that. But I'm going to need to make that decision by the time I put the utility pocket together, because you need to do that. And I will need to decide what I'm using as the lining, whether I'm going to use the white as the lining or not. So, part 2 is going to be getting the second side done. It's going to be a duplicate. Should not take the entire episode, because I'm not going to talk nearly as much. I'm not going to give explanations. I'm going to go through and throw this together and make my other exterior, and then we're going to do something similar. I'm not going to do the V on the utility pocket on the interior. I'm just going to stitch together, or if I have enough of this, I don't think I do, but I may be able to put together. No, I don't think I do. I don't think I'll have 8 inches worth. So I'm going to take, that's going to go in the garbage because otherwise I will continue messing with it. The pocket inside is just going to have strips, and they're 2.5 inches wide, so we're going to need 4. That gives me 8 inches. So we'll just pick 4 strips from here, and that will be our interior pocket, interior utility pocket. And then after we get all of that done, we will start on the steps to make everything. So the tote assembly starts at the beginning, and we'll just go, well, we've still got to get everything cut. So I'm going to say part 2 is going to be spent making this other piece, making the utility pocket, and then getting all the other things we need cut. Because like I said, we still have to decide on colors for the zipper and verify color of the interior, things like that. So don't forget, like, subscribe, follow, get reminders. That way you'll always know when I'm going to do a video. Typically, I try and do at least 1 a week. I've been pulling off 3 a week at different times, but I do try for at least 1 a week. Any holidays, I will not be making videos. So if there's a holiday coming up, which there is in my world, shortly, won't be doing that. But I thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it, and we will see you again next time. Thank you.